Within the large hall, none of the 1,000 geniuses dared to make a sound against such an intimidating undying. It felt almost like a mountain pressing down on you. Against this purple-scaled man who seemed like he was there physically, yet not at all, it was completely different. He wasn't intentionally pressuring them at all. It was simply his natural aura, it naturally made others respect him. That was life submitting itself. Stop. A thunderous roar resounded from outside, entering within the universe ship interior, and eventually resounding throughout the entire ship. Feeling this level of pressure, all the geniuses were shocked still. As they were only a bunch of star levels with some that have broken through to the universe level, they were simply helpless. Against such great beings, if they didn't control their auras, probably just a look would make their souls crumble. Geniuses were after all just geniuses, they weren't truly strong yet. Their path had just begun. It's me, open the universe pathway. The purple-scaled man said indifferently. His voice passed through the universe ship and reverberated even outside. Rumble. A low rumbling came from outside and the ship continued its path. This is really uncomfortable, not right. The 1,000 geniuses had gone pale. Even Luo Feng felt his head ache badly, and it started to throb. He tried hard to keep his eyes open, yet he couldn't even see his surroundings clearly. We are currently within the pathway between the actual universe and the primal universe. The purple-scaled man looked at the group of pale youths, some even falling to the ground. The primal universe and the actual universe have different time flows, hence creating a chaotic time flow within this pathway. This will make you all uncomfortable for a while. Of the 1,000 youths, only about 300 of them could barely stand. I can't see clearly anymore. Luo Feng fought hard to keep his eyes open. Wow, Luo Feng, this is the legendary universe pathway. The chaotic time flow actually feels this way. Even I, a living AI, feel kind of weird. Haha, it's too mystical, simply too mystical. Barbata, however, was incomparably excited. These chances are extremely rare. After about 5 or 6 minutes, the feeling passed. Luo Feng regained his full consciousness. Luo Feng looked around, discovering that many were lying on the ground, their expressions pale, and some even had tears flowing out. Following which, they all began to climb back up, brushing off their tears and regaining their composure. Right now, we've already entered the primal universe. The purple-scaled man smiled. Primal universe, we've already reached the primal universe. The geniuses from many universe countries were all filled with curiosity. Even the 10 undyings that came along with the purple-scaled 9-blade knight. Their eyes were filled with anticipation as they started looking around. Open the top. The purple-scaled man said the large metallic roof actually automatically opened above the hall, revealing a transparent glass outer layer. Immediately, the top of the hall became transparent, and everyone looked up to look through that layer towards the outer world. Luo Feng raised his head too. With one glance, he discovered that there was a dark aura floating about outside. Some energy flowed above them. In the distance, he could barely make out the lands and skies splitting apart. Even large amounts of engravings flowing through these splits and spaces, threads weaving in and out, with engravings floating all about, almost like a loom slowly rebuilding and growing the land and skies further. This is... Luo Feng felt a space split open in the distance with crystal-like threads flowing within, which were filled with engravings. Even the 10 undyings kept looking up, occasionally closing their eyes to ponder, and then opening to observe again. The ship continued to move forward. They frequently saw spaces splitting apart, and the peculiar threads of engravings. Stars and planets all have their own lifespans. This universe too has its own lifespan, only that it's incredibly long. The purple-scaled man smiled. This primal universe is a new universe belonging to when a universe is in its beginning stages. During this period, the universe will constantly improve itself and form anew. Hence the universe origin laws will be flowing about, and will be very obvious to the eyes. The universe space splits will continue to regrow and recover, even the flowing energy flows all contain within them the origin laws. Luo Feng and the rest of the 1,000 all listened wide-eyed and stunned. The crystal threads that rebuilt the splits all over, these large amounts of threads with engravings were all the universe origin laws energy flow. The actual universe, in which we live in, is incomparably vast, huge, and perfect. The purple-scaled man said, and because it's perfect, we cannot easily see the energy flow. Hence comprehension is much harder. However, in the primal universe, the naked eye can easily spot such energy flows. You've all seen how perfectly the different laws work together, how the universe forms and the law energy flows. Since everything can be seen with your eyes, the comprehension here is much easier. The name list for the primal universe is incomparably valuable. The purple-scaled man said, glancing at the 10 undyings. The 10 undyings all continued to look up, obviously treasuring every bit of time, close. The purple-scaled man said. The roof immediately sealed up. Actually, just from looking at the splits in space and the threads of engravings about, Luo Feng understood that the virtual simulation couldn't simulate something like this, because these engravings were meant to be felt and not just seen. Relying just on technology to simulate it wasn't enough. If it could be simulated, then there would be no need to even enter the primal universe. In a while, we will arrive at Primal Chaos City. The purple-scaled man said, the Primal Chaos City is where the participants within the primal universe train and live. You are all under me. I hope to see all of you alive in 30 years. We can die here, there's danger. Luo Feng and the others were suspicious. Remember, after entering Primal Chaos City, first listen to the person receiving you, listen clearly to the rules. Oh, we've arrived. The purple-scaled man said, and the universe ship's speed began to slow down. This large fish began its travel through this vast universe space. In the short time since the roof closed, the large fish had flown to an ancient city in the air. Its stomach portion cabin door opened and the 1,000 geniuses flew out. Following which the door closed and the large fish waved its tail and immediately disappeared into the distance. The feeling of this primal universe sure is special. This feels really comfortable, right? Extremely comfortable. A group of youths stood in mid-air. Luo Feng looked down at the ancient majestic city. As a city built within the primal universe itself, it gave off an aura of profoundness. In the distance a black light flew over. Attention all. I am the receiver of Primal Chaos City. A low voice resounded. A black-robed man flew over, following which he stopped and smiled. His head was filled with green scales. This city is called Primal Chaos City. Its time in existence is even longer than many of your universe countries themselves. Right now it's governed by the Virtual Universe Company, Huge Axe Dojo, Universe First Bank, Universe Galaxy Bank, and the Universe Mercenaries altogether. Silence. The 1,000 youths looked at this receiver of Primal Chaos City. Follow me. The receiver smiled and flew down. The 1,000 people flew downwards and landed in the streets of the city. The pathway allowed up to a few tens of people to form a line. The Primal Chaos City has been around for a very long time. The receiver walked ahead, explaining as he walked, among the participants that come to Primal Chaos City, many absolute beings have already been produced. Luo Feng looked around. This city had many buildings around, and on the balconies of these buildings there were many human-like people sitting crossed-legged. Some were drawing several things on the grounds, strong auras from all over, much stronger than sector lords, some even muttering things from their mouths. Luo Feng looked up at the sky. In the sky above, close to one of the universe splits, he could make out undyings all around it floating about. Occasionally these beings even looked down at Luo Feng's group. Another group of punks have arrived. It's receiver number 11, those are the punks from the Virtual Universe Company. I heard that among the Virtual Universe Company's batch, there's someone called Bolin, he's not bad. Beside that universe split, a few great beings floated and chatted. Luo Feng and their group of youths, they were all very low profile. They could feel that there were many undyings around. And these undyings were all being conservative, not daring to release their auras at all. However, within the city there were 10 absolute energy flows that were simply heavenly, even Luo Feng could clearly feel them. Just like 10 absolute ferocious beasts, stationed at different locations within Primal Chaos City, there are many absolute beings within Primal Chaos City. The receiver turned and said, don't ever go disturb any of them when they are studying the origin laws. The moment you disturb them, I can only send you out of the primal universe and end your participation. The group nodded. The receiver immediately entered an empty building beside. There are many buildings within Primal Chaos City. If the doors are white, it means there's no one is living there. The receiver pointed at a large door. As long as you place your hand on the surface of the door's system will automatically activate and cause it to change to a dark gray. You'll then become the building's owner, and it'll automatically record your signal. Everyone can only choose one living quarter. After which, he walked up to the balcony. The balcony was pretty huge, as the length and width were close to 100 m, enough to stand 1,000 people. This is. Luo Feng looked at the many pictures engraved on the surface of the balcony. Many of them were mysterious and peculiar. Luo Feng looked carefully, getting lost in the engravings. Many youths too were completely immersed within space origin laws. This has been infused with space origin laws. Many youths shouted out, "Attention all." The receiver's voice entered everyone's minds. All their souls were immediately awoken. Primal Chaos City has many generations of countless absolute beings sitting on the balconies and studying. During their progress, they occasionally draw and carve as well. Hence they've left behind many of their thoughts and origin law studies. If you have interest in them, a good half of Primal Chaos City is vacant right now. You can go from balcony to take a look. You never know, you might find some comprehension engravings of some knights from the past. The group of youths' eyes gleamed. Let me first tell you all a very important rule. The receiver emphasized, within the primal universe, any human against human killing is strictly forbidden. Whoever makes a move will be punished and killed without a doubt, understood? The group of youths nodded. The primal universe compared to the actual universe has a time ratio of 1 minute and 3.28 seconds. The black-robed receiver laughed. Your participation time in here this round is a little more than 30 years. Time is very precious, don't waste it. The black-robed receiver jumped down from the balcony, landing on the ground below. The 1,000 geniuses behind followed suit and jumped, like a big group of locusts, covering the skies as they landed in the spacious pathway in front of the building. Follow me, we'll head to the city owner's mansion. The black-robed receiver said, that's where the city owner stays, and it's also the core of the entire Primal Chaos City. City owner. Luo Feng was shocked when he heard it. As the only city within the entire primal universe, the history of the Primal Chaos City was even more ancient than many universe countries. The owner of this ancient city, one could only imagine his position. As he was able to take on such a position, his strength definitely wouldn't be weaker than those country leaders. Rumble. Ahead in the distance, a 30-meter-tall single-horned beast clad in red scales walked over. It took up more than half of the entire pathway, and on its back stood a purple short-haired youth. He was dressed in a dark blue armor, with similar dark blue boots, while carrying one huge purple blade on his back, looking up at the sky. The black-robed receiver bowed respectfully to display his respect, and the 1,000 youths watched as the huge beast left. Beast taming, you can even bring tamed beasts into Primal Chaos City. The group of youths couldn't help but discuss softly. Ahead, the black-robed receiver smiled. That person before is an eternal resident of Primal Chaos City. As an eternal resident, he has the privilege to bring tamed beasts in. Eternal resident. I heard that even undyings who want to enter here, the slot alone is incomparably expensive and valuable. The youths were all shocked. Luo Feng couldn't help but exclaim, how can that be? His own teacher, even as a powerful being amongst the undying, couldn't even afford a slot to enter the primal universe. However, that youthful-looking man from before was an eternal resident. Nothing's impossible. The black-robed receiver smiled. As long as one has a large enough contribution, or absolute strength, and eventually acquiring the admittance from the Alliance, one can become an eternal resident. Luo Feng pondered. Alliance. Right, this Primal Chaos City was governed by the 5 Leviathans together. He guessed that the alliance he mentioned was that of these 5 together. May I ask, how does one become an eternal resident? Amongst the crowd, the Manco Prince Wuka shouted, the requirements are extremely strict. The black-robed receiver smiled, when you've become an undying, you'll know them. Asking now is just futile. The black-robed receiver led the bustling group of youths, who were of many different human races, walking along the pathways. It was indeed quite a sight. Luo Feng, however, discovered that on the balconies of the buildings along the pathway, among those quietly meditating warriors, only very few of them actually opened their eyes to glance over at this group. Many were too immersed within their training. Many had beards and hair that grew extremely long, almost as though they hadn't been trimmed in hundreds to thousands of years. Ahead is the city owner's mansion. The black-robed receiver pointed ahead. Luo Feng looked up. There was a majestic construct, which was over 300 meters tall. Even from afar, one could distinctly see the most glaring 3 words in universe language on the building. City owner residence. Just looking at those words, one couldn't help but get enticed by it. Almost as though hidden within those words was a new space, or even universe. One's entire focus couldn't help but get drawn into it and entering into the universe space within those words. This shocked Luo Feng so much he lowered his head and didn't dare take another look. The 3 huge words city owner residence. Just take one quick look and don't look at it often. The black-robed receiver laughed. It'll cause you to lose yourself in them. Even undyings normally wouldn't dare stare at it. that mystical. Many geniuses that hadn't noticed the 3 words before looked up curiously to see, with that, they all fell for it. Ha ha, the black-robed receiver couldn't help but laugh at the scene. He normally attended to groups of absolute warriors. He'd have to be more rigid and felt uncomfortable. However, with these punks, it was much more relaxing. Although it looked like it was located fairly close, as they continued to walk, they realized that it was pretty far. Even though they were walking pretty quickly, it still took several minutes to reach the entrance of the building. With one look they spotted frequent black-robed receivers heading over and away. They also occasionally spotted a few Undyings and Sector Lords entering and leaving the building. Primal Chaos City is the only city within the Primal Universe. The black-robed receiver smiled. In this city, there are 3 treasures. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed, listening intently. The first of the 3, which everybody knows about, is that one can naturally see the origin laws movement in the universe. The black-robed receiver smiled. As for the second, it's within the city, it's located within the city owner's mansion. The third is located outside the city. Just what are these treasures? A group of youths couldn't help but ask. The black-robed receiver pointed around the surrounding balconies, where many have trained before. For over 1 trillion years, many warriors have stayed and left this city. During their training, any spark or idea would be carved into the grounds and surfaces of the walls, and with deep thought, or whatever gains they discovered, they would also carve there. Luo Feng nodded. Indeed, comprehending the origin laws was akin to flashes of inspiration. When one suddenly comprehended something, one would carve it down. After all, a picture was worth 1,000 words. Even though some people would casually write down a line of words, after a few years, by looking at those few words, could easily jolt the memory of the time from before. And ironically, if one typed it into a computer, after a few years, looking at it may not even help recall anything. Personally, drawing and writing, it was a very good comprehending medium. Primal Chaos City, this sort of tradition has been around for countless years. The black-robed youth exclaimed, because the records are all casually left behind, there are no rules. Many of them are even just odd bits and pieces, hence many of them only help a little here and there. However, over 1 trillion years, countless such flashes of inspiration and records have left behind very strong and systematic training aids. The black-robed receiver emphasized, in our Primal Chaos City, there are also the most valuable 52 Primal Chaos tablets. Every tablet records a large amount of mysterious pictures, etc. These 52 tablets are the 52 large pathways of training. These are the pathways that lead directly to the top. If one manages to comprehend even one entire tablet, then he would immediately become an absolute existence within the universe. Even opening your own universe country would be simple. Luo Feng couldn't help but hold his breath. Beside him Savage Rong Jun, Manka Youth and the 1,000 men and women were all excited. 52 Primal Chaos tablets infused with the pinnacle pathways. After comprehending just one tablet, one could open a universe country. These 52 Primal Chaos tablets are the second treasure located within this city. The black-robed receiver smiled. As for the third treasure, it's outside the city. At the entrance there's a stone monument with specific details. You can all go look at it yourselves. The group were extremely excited with anticipation. The first and second treasure both had huge benefits to everybody. This third treasure couldn't be anything less. The 52 Primal Chaos tablets. The black-robed receiver said, everyone who comes into the Primal Chaos to train will have one chance to look at them. Every time, you'll have a total of 7 days. 7 days. The group stared. That short, the Primal Chaos tablets are the treasures of humanity. They are clearer than any technique manual, and they were pathways to the pinnacle of strength. Just the 7 days of viewing would be sufficient for the likes of you. The black-robed receiver immediately walked towards the entrance door. Enter, get ready to pick your tablet. The residence was a huge place. Even the normal balconies in the living districts were 100 m long and wide. One could only imagine just how big this residence was. Everyone can only pick one tablet to view and study. The black-robed receiver led the group and quickly entered a mystical pathway. The pathway had 2 walls, and hung on them were the many huge pictures. Luo Feng took one glance and knew immediately there were 52 pictures. Hung on these walls are the 52 stone rubbing copies. Every picture depicts the Primal Chaos tablets. You will first take a look at these, and even though they are unable to infuse within them the energy flows of the original tablets, they will still make you feel a strand of their original energy flow. Just take a look at these 52 pictures, and later decide which tablet you will study. The black-robed receiver spoke. The group of youths walked along the pathway, and were stunned by the 52 pictures on the walls. They had to pick the tablets, just from these pictures. Every picture was specifically 10 m long and wide, and beside them were their names. I'll give you all half an hour. The black-robed receiver stood outside the pathway. Luo Feng and the group began to look around. Luo Feng randomly picked one to begin. This first one he looked at had an ancient tree that rose to the skies. Its leaves were already yellow, and countless of them were falling. These floating leaves that were in mid-air of this picture, with Luo Feng's mental calculation, in an instant he deduced there were definitely over 10,000 leaves. On the picture, the yellow leaves fell one after another. There were still some leaves on the tree itself, the ground however was fully covered in them. Looking on, Luo Feng felt that the leaves floating in mid-air were like soldiers one after another, forming an entire army. That incomparably complex formation, with every 100 forming one complex little group, just adding one extra leaf, that 101 immediately made the formation even more magical and mystical. 1 minute up. Barbata's voice resounded within his mind and woke him up. Luo Feng, you only have half an hour to look at all the pictures, you cannot spend more than 1 minute on one picture. Understood? Luo Feng awoke and looked at the name on that picture, Muzu Primal Chaos Tablet. This made Luo Feng creased his eyebrows. Muzu. Is it linked to the Muzu planet? He didn't dare think too much. After all, there were 52 pictures to go through. Luo Feng quickly went to view the rest. He had to look for the most suitable for himself within that half an hour. And the most suitable, only that would have the highest efficiency for his training. As for the Muzu tablet, it gave Luo Feng some headaches when he looked at it. 101 leaves. Compared to the 100 leaves formation, it was 100 times more magical and mystical. Those over 10,000 leaves, just how much would they change and evolve? It was impossible to imagine. Picture after picture, total silence. The 1,000 geniuses were like starving wolves. Their eyes were all gleaming while staring at the many pictures. Before, they were all dissatisfied on having to choose their tablet from looking at pictures, however they still got totally immersed in them. Luckily everyone had their own AI systems to remind them, otherwise they would spend the entire half an hour on one picture. Luo Feng stared at the large picture before him. On it were many slash marks. Every mark gave off a different feeling. The entire picture had a total of 10,081 slashes. The name of the picture was Scarred Heart Primal Chaos Tablet. All right, your half an hour is up. Tell me your tablet choices, and I'll record them. The black-robed receiver shouted. I choose the Dragon Order Primal Chaos Tablet. I choose the Wind Shadow Primal Chaos Tablet. The black-robed receiver walked from the outermost layer of the group, slowly progressing inwards, simultaneously asking for each of the geniuses' choices. However, behind the crowd, Luo Feng creased his eyebrows and his gaze sweeping past the 52 pictures. Honesty, out of these 52, there were a total of 38 that actually caught his attention and piqued his interest, including that Muzu Primal Chaos Tablet. Even though it had enticed him, it did however work with a very complex flow movement, most suitable for me. Luo Feng looked at the picture on the left, and another on the right, in the distance, his most favorite the 9 Universe Primal Chaos Tablet, and the final one he saw, the Scarred Heart Primal Chaos Tablet. When he looked at the 9 Universe Tablet, his entire being cheered excitedly from within, feeling that the 9 Universe Tablet was the most suitable for his Nanshan armament's progress. With slight changes, he could even incorporate it into his close combat techniques. However the Scarred Heart Tablet, Luo Feng looked, he could faintly see the skills and blade works appearing within his mind. Those 10081 slashes, they could be said to fully incorporate an extreme level of blade work. Which should I choose? Luo Feng creased his eyebrows. He wanted to train them all. The 9 Universe was most suited for his Nanshan armament, while the Scarred Heart Tablet was most suitable for his blade work. Of course his current strength was still very weak. He could only make out very little bits of each of the complex tablets that were infused with extremely profound elements. These 52 tablets were after all the huge pathways to the pinnacle of strength. Theoretically speaking, every tablet in itself could help one comprehend close combat and long-distance combat. His come. Luo Feng turned to look. The black-robed receiver had already recorded over 700 answers. He had already reached beside Luo Feng, looking up and staring at him. Which do you choose? The black-robed receiver asked. I choose the 9 Universe Primal Chaos Tablet. Luo Feng replied seriously. The black-robed receiver nodded and the screen on his arm recorded it immediately. He turned and continued on to the next person. Even though the Scarred Heart tablet and the 9 Universe tablets are both my favorites, and my close combat improves at a fast rate, my strongest skill is still without doubt my long-distance attacks. Right now my close combat is improving, mainly because of the Mosha clone training the illusionary techniques. A true warrior doesn't need every skill and technique to be that strong. If they are all strong, it also means they aren't all that strong in general. Strengthen my strong point. Constantly strengthening my strong points, making them become absolute and powerful. That's a true absolute warrior, and the Scarred Heart tablet begins from the Gold Origin Law's entrance. The 9 Universe tablet approaches, however, from the Space Origin Law. Amidst the many origin laws, it was without a doubt that space and time were the 2 strongest. If he had to pick, he would pick the stronger one. The black-robed receiver walked till the end of the pathway, and recorded everybody's answer, turning and smiling. I've already sent your choices out, follow me. Luo Feng and the rest of the 1000 followed the black-robed receiver, and left that pathway to go deeper, eventually leading to an empty training ground. This training ground was extremely empty and spacious, about 10 kilometers long and wide. If it were an ordinary person from Earth, he wouldn't be able to see end to end. Naturally Luo Feng and the rest could see it all clearly. Within the empty training ground, the 1000 people gathered. The black-robed receiver stood in front of them. Right now, among the secret rooms of the 52 tablets, 12 of them currently have people in them. The other 40 are empty. The black-robed receiver looked at the group before him. I will now read out the names of these 40 empty rooms. Yangshan Primal Chaos Tablet, Scarred Heart Primal Chaos Tablet. The black-robed receiver swiftly reported the 40 names in one breath. Those that have chosen these 40 tablets immediately head towards the left entrance ahead. You will be arranged to enter the secret rooms. The receiver pointed into the distance. On the left end of the training ground, there was a 30-meter-tall entrance. Head over there now. Immediately, at least 800 over of the youths became beam of lights and left, leaving behind only a little more than 100 youths. You 139 will wait a while. The black-robed receiver said, the tablets that you have chosen currently have people in them. When other people are in there, it is absolutely forbidden for anyone to open the room and disturb them. Hence, when they've finished, you all will enter. The longest time you'll have to wait will only be 3 days. This way, you can go to the city owner residence's tower. The black-robed receiver pointed ahead. Over there, you can train there first. When it's time for your turn, I'll inform you all. Luo Feng, Savage Rong Jun, and the rest of the 139 youths could only head to the tower. So unlucky. 52 Primal Chaos Tablets. Only 12 of these had people in them, and it's actually us. Along the way, the youths were somewhat helpless. Savage Rong Jun smiled and looked at Luo Feng. Luo Feng, you and I are really brothers in arms. We entered the top 10 together, up to the top 5 battles. Even the choices of the tablets, both our choices have people in them. Luo Feng nodded, asking, which did you choose me? The huge axe tablet. Savage Rong Jun said, Rong Jun, I too chose the huge axe tablet. The Manka youth Wuka, who was speaking to others, turned and suddenly shouted, running over and spoke softly, Luo Feng, Rong Jun, do you know just who left behind this huge axe tablet? Every tablet was left behind by true pinnacle warriors of the human race history in the universe. 52 Primal Chaos Tablets, they became the treasures of humanity. Who? Rong Jun asked. Don't tell me it's connected to the huge axe dojo. Luo Feng thought and asked, right? Wuka nodded, saying softly, this huge axe tablet is left behind by the founder of one of the 5 great Leviathans, the huge axe dojo. It holds within unbelievable power. The moment one completely comprehends it, that's simply heavenly. You'd become the pinnacle of pinnacle existence within the entire universe, the founder of the huge axe dojo. Luo Feng and Rong Jun exchanged glances. My God. One of the 5 great Leviathans of humanity. If one actually wanted to put a ranking to these 5 Leviathans, it was actually pretty simple from one thing. The entire universe humans, 1008 universe countries. Every 10,000 years they hold 2 genius battles. One was organized by the Virtual Universe Company and another by the huge axe dojo. The most exceptional geniuses were picked by these 2. The Universe First Bank, the Universe Galaxy Bank, and Universe Mercenary Alliance, however, never do such things. So who's stronger in the 5? The Virtual Universe Company and the huge axe dojo naturally stand above the rest. And as the founder of the huge axe dojo, his status was much higher than any of the 1008 universe country leaders. Hence I chose the huge axe tablet. Wuka was satisfied. Also amongst the sector lords and undying, this tablet is also the most popular, ha ha. Rong Jun laughed. Luo Feng twitched his lips, of course. The rest of the other tablets are also not ordinary in any way, otherwise they'd never gain the right to be erected beside the huge axe tablet. Wuka consoled Luo Feng, study that 9-universe tablet properly, you still have a bright future. As he said, Wuka held his stomach and laughed, you punk. Luo Feng shook his head. In the tower of the residence, Luo Feng and that group of over 100 youths sat within, gazing into the distance. It was too huge. The entire primal chaos was extremely huge. As for the distant areas outside the city, they were a complete blur and hard to see clearly. The main thing was, a large amount of primal chaotic energy was flowing within the primal universe, causing people to be unable to see too far. So comfortable, this primal universe is so much more comfortable than the actual universe. The group of youths were discussing. Luo Feng could feel it too. Ever since they entered the primal universe, his entire body was incomparably comfortable, from internally to external, from mental to his body, they were all comfortable. This is the reason for the primal universe. In the distance a middle-aged man in a loose purple golden long robe walked over. You are the winners from this time's genius competition organized by the Virtual Universe Company. Luo Feng and the rest of the 139 turned and nodded. The reason why you feel so comfortable is because of this. The middle-aged man pointed beside to the primal chaos energy flow floating. This is what we call primal chaos energy. It has different properties from the elemental universe energies in the actual universe. It's also different from those mixed universe energies. This primal chaos energy has the peculiar energy to nurture and evolve many types of things. Surrounded by this energy, naturally you'll feel comfortable. The middle-aged man smiled. Luo Feng and the rest realized, however, this type of energy is only present in the primal universe. The middle-aged man in the purple golden long robe shook his head. Even if you try and bring this energy back to the actual universe, it will only dissipate into other forms of energy. When Luo Feng and the group of youths were chatting with this powerful warrior, suddenly, rumble, in the distant land and skies powerful ripples were happening, the sounds shook both the land and skies, ways. An angry roar resounded throughout the skies of the entire primal chaos city. A fearsome lightning energy immediately pierced through tens of millions of li, causing the strong warriors on the balconies of the buildings to all open their eyes and look into the distance. Luo Feng and the group who were suppressed by that powerful energy had all gone pale, looking shocked from the tower. In the distance, a tall and sturdy bald giant dressed in ancient copper armor was almost like a god of the land and skies, wielding a huge axe that was almost his size and waving it and slashing towards another great being that was currently a beam of lightning fleeing. That lightning energy they all felt was from this absolute being fleeing. Silence. Luo Feng and the rest of them were all shocked and pressured by the energies of these two absolute beings. They actually dare to battle in Primal Chaos City. The purple golden long-robed middle-aged man looked in the distance, saying shocked, ways, how can this bull man be so stupid? Thank you for watching.